is man like Dan. Come on! Welcome to Melanated and Proud. Today, we have a young lady. Whose passion lies within music and education. She's gone through a lot. She's lost some people on the way, but her dream is still alive today. She loves the black community and she's all about unity. So let's welcome the lovely lady herself, Nyasha.
Alright, so thanks for coming on. Where are you from?
Well, I was born here, and I originate from, my family originates from Zimbabwe.
So how was your childhood like, and your upbringing?
A very interesting one. Grew up in England for a bit, then went off to secondary school in Zimbabwe, and lived in Zimbabwe at secondary school for 3 years, and then came back again to England. So, yeah.
How was education for you in England?
Education was quite interesting because I went to a school that was predominantly white. And so there were, the teachers during that time were considerably racist, I would say. And this is not just me saying it, some of my white friends would actually agree with me and say that. And then I just, my mum decided that it was best for me to go to Zimbabwe to have education, and also to, just be closer to my father, because my father chose not to live in England. And then so when I went to Zimbabwe, and I went to a secondary boarding school, which was a really great school. The education was good and life was good, and I can actually say that the myths of Africa and poverty and stuff like that, well, I didn't experience that. I experienced quite a lovely life with swimming pool, people that, maids and the rest of it. So it was actually beautiful for me. Had a very great privileged life. And I always say to people that actually when I lived in England I was poor, when I lived in Africa I was wealthy, which people always say, how could that be? Because the perception is that you should be wealthy in England and poor in Africa. Well, that wasn't the case.
And so obviously you decided to step into teaching. So what made you step into that anyways?
I think it was just also a combination of the experiences that I had at school, from, especially in England anyway. And I just wanted to make a difference. And I noticed that a lot of, I think having had a rocky childhood when I was younger, and made me identify and relate to students who were going through the same thing, or young people who were going through the same thing. And I just wanted to make a change and make an impact. And so then that's what made me decide to go into teaching.
Yeah. And out of that teaching, you've actually started working on bigger things as well, like you're trying to change the game, and so you want to create your own business, if I'm correct. And so would you like to elaborate on that a bit more?
Yeah, I mean, I had a vision, I've had this vision for quite some time. In 2017, I was, one of my best friends who actually went to the same secondary school with me here in England. I just, she used to be a deputy head teacher in a primary school. And I thought, let's get together. I've got this vision. We can offer a service to schools and we can offer a service to parents. We got together, we sat down, we thought about how we were going to do it, etc. And unfortunately, my friend didn't disclose to me what she was going through emotionally, and unfortunately, she ended up committing suicide, which was a terrible shock and horror, you can imagine, for us all. I mean, I was meeting her in the summer holidays. We were planning our vision in terms of our teaching agency, etc. So it was a big shock, and I think I just felt I couldn't go on doing it because she'd gone, and I couldn't actually imagine anyone else stepping in her shoes. So it took me a very long time to really get over that side of the business. You know, the whole thing and the whole vision, and then thinking, I used to see her and we talk about everything else, but why didn't she tell me certain things, you know? And then not too long ago, I think it was, it must have been last year, 2020. I just felt that that God was reminding me that it's not her vision. I didn't give her the vision. I gave you the vision. And then I had to remember, it's actually my vision, but I went and I told her what the vision was. So, and then I was like, okay, so Lord, like maybe I can do this then. I'm supposed to do this. So I then just spoke to another, somebody I used to work with, and I get on really, really well with. She's a friend and was also a colleague. And I just told her about my vision, and that was it. I just said, look, this is what I want to do. I want to set up an agency for teachers. I want to be able to mentor. This is, you know, we're going to go into schools, set up things for teachers to help them, and also we want to bridge the gap for parents and teachers. And she just said, right, I'm in, and I know someone else who'd want to be in. And then from there, it just became, okay, right, this person. Then I just went through my phone. I said, okay, this person's an educator, this person, and from there, that's how it really birthed. And it's, you know, the teacher surgery. That's what it's called. Yeah.
I was very brave of you to do that though, because like you said, that was something that you was planning to do with your friend, and obviously, she's not here anymore. And so, like, what made you believe that you could still do it, or that you should still do it? Because you said you had sort of like insights that you should still continue, but I feel like it's something that takes a lot of strength. So what was it that allowed you to stay positive?
I think like I said, you know, just knowing that, I think because I come from, especially my father's family are, they tend to be go-getters. They've got their own businesses. They're really doing well. And so I surround myself with them quite a bit as well. And it just made me, I started to think, actually, I can do this too. Because my father, you know, unfortunately, he died, but he was a great mentor. He was a great, he was known in Zimbabwe, like, for just being this amazing character, amazing person who used to bless people, give people things. He was changed. He did a lot of changes. There's a lot of changes in Zimbabwe through because of my dad, and so that kind of made me think, right, get yourself back, girl. You know, you can do this, and you know, you've got all the support. My mum's side of the family as well, all of the support. And I just thought, you know what, it's time for me to step into what God has called me into, really.
So you saw it as like your purpose, because like you could have easily just been swept under the carpet because like your friend passed away, and that could have been the end of the vision, innit? And I feel like it's good that you decided to take that step forward and just realize that no one else is going to do it. Like, it has to be you, innit? And through that, you can make your friend proud as well. And so it's good that you decided to continue.
Yeah, I mean, it took 5 years, you know. So really, because think about 4 years? 2000 and so from 2017 and 2021, I felt, like I said, I just at that time I just said, right, I'm not doing it. I'm not interested and stuff like that. But then I had to, like I said, I felt that strong conviction or strong mandate of a purpose that Nash, get back to it, get focused and do this. Yeah,
and that was definitely like a major setback, and everyone goes through setbacks, but yours was like a very big setback, innit? And so setbacks are there, like, yes, they occur, but it can just like allow you to become stronger, and a setback is still like, it's not the end, innit? Like, it's there to propel you to your next level in a way. And so with what happened, that's only just increased your passion even more for what you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, even within the group, like myself, my mother passed away a couple of months ago, in April. That was a total shock, and that threw me off. There were some people in the group that their aunties or their own mothers, one other person's mother passed away, and so that stopped her from being in the group. There was a situation with, a child. There were so many things going on within the group that we all had different struggles and different challenges, which some unfortunately ended up not continuing with us. But, the others said, okay, even though I'm going through this, I'm still going to be a part of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, you've had a tough year or few years, but like I said, it just shows how strong you are, and it's going to allow you to excel even more. Really,
the agency, the teacher surgery is about, one, equipping teachers to be the best that they can, and secondly, to engage and bring parents and teachers together to make a change for their children.
Wow, that's very powerful, man, and it's very deep rooted into your values and everything that you've gone through as well, and you're clearly turning it to something big.
We filmed on Saturday. This Saturday gone was the first filming of our podcast, and that should be out in September. Most teachers who will watch this will see it and say, okay, this isn't necessarily this part of the podcast is more geared towards parents and how they should relate with the teachers. However, we have the other fold, whereas with our agency where we help teachers. So the podcast that's coming out now basically is questions that parents have asked, and we as specialists from nursery, from secondary, college and leadership, that's the whole panel, we answer those questions in a relaxed atmosphere. Putting teachers together is always, can be a challenge, it can be great, it can be, we're all enthusiastic, but I think one of the things that I like about our group is that we all know it. Some of us know each other and some of us don't, but we have the same passion. We all want to see our students doing better, and we all have a good record of that. So.
That's good. And so, in regards to business in general, is this something that you think is very important as a black person as well to have?
Yes, I do. I think I always say, I think you always have to look at two things. Sometimes some people are going to always work for someone, right? And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with you having a 9 to 5. There's nothing wrong with you not necessarily desiring to own your own business. Just because it's especially during the COVID, it's been such a big buzz, isn't it? That loads of people are opening up businesses, or loads of people are finding their skills. But so I think it's important to identify what is it that I really have a passion for. I used to listen to a teaching by this pastor or evangelist, Mike Murdoch, and he used to tell you things about the things that you hate the most and the things that you like the most. And he would say that if you really hate something, you hate it with a passion, that's probably something in you that's a vision linked to it. So you might hate the fact that people are treated unjustly. So maybe that's a calling for you to set up something that would help people in that field. If you also have something that you really love as well, you love doing, if somebody took it away from you, you probably would not be able to, your life would be a misery. That again could show passion, and you can go into that business. I don't think, sometimes what happens is because a lot of black people in particular are doing business in a particular field, so maybe hair or makeup, everyone runs to that. And sometimes you're not the one you're not going to be the same as someone else. there's so many other things in you that you can develop and find out, and
yeah, because you're doing a lot of things, man. Like, obviously you're doing your teaching, got this going on. You're also a vocal trainer, like doing a lot of things still. So would you like to talk a bit about the vocal training?
Yeah, I mean, with the vocal training, I mean, at the moment, I must say I've sort of rested that a bit, put that on the back burner a bit. But yes, I mean, most people who knew me from church or have known me, they've known, Nyasha also trains people how to sing. And, I've trained quite a few people, who are doing things, who are out there in the forefront, and some of them are backing vocalists. And, I've trained somebody who's a part of a production, The Lion King and stuff, and so yeah, I've done that as well. But it's something that I don't know why, I just get shy about it, and I tend not to. People say to me, "Nash, you trained too? You did?" And then I just think, yeah, I did actually. Yeah, I trained, but then I just keep quiet. It's not something I always really talk about. Yeah.
No, I'll be screaming that all the time, but I'm next door though. I need to train my voice. My voice ain't too bad, but soon come.
You sure you're not? You sure you can sing? You're not tone deaf?
Funny. But yeah, how do you think us black people can move forward in the UK specifically?
I think we need to be more trusting of one another, and I think other communities. I look at other communities sometimes, and I think we need to have a system in place where that okay, you might not necessarily have the financial help, but somebody who can help you in that field, or who can rally around and put money together in a trusting environment, and help you and support your vision and support your dream. Example that I would say I think is important is, like, for example, last year I did go to the Black Lives Matter movement. I went, I think, one of the days. I can't remember which day I went. And I've also been to when there was the slavery march against in what's happening in Libya at the time. And two things that struck me concerning both events was that it was brilliant. We could all march together, we all walked together, we were in unity, black and white, all different races. But then what was disappointing was afterwards, it was who are the speakers? And unfortunately, the content of some of the speakers was really poor. And I think there's this perception that black people are not educated. So we had an incident where during that time, somebody who was white had was saying some things, was speaking about the unjust, racism, talking about how it affects people in Britain and stuff like that. So they were talking about that, and people couldn't really hear him because he was using, what do you call those? I've forgotten the mic. Yeah, the megaphones, right? So he was using one of those, but people couldn't really hear him. But my friend and I could hear him, and what he was saying was brilliant. And then somebody who was black just grabbed the megaphone off of him and made a comment and said, he's one of us, but he just speaks the Queen's English, so we don't understand. And that really infuriated me, because I hate the rhetoric that black people, we only understand slang and we don't understand, and that annoyed me. And I thought, how dare you say that? Like, I understood what he said. Why do you think, and it's those kind of things that we don't really realize that we say, oh, this person's speaking the Queen's English. No, they're just speaking English. But because you're so used to thinking that black people only understand slang, we also need to show that there's another side of us, that we're actually educated and we know who we are. So that is very important to me, I think. changing the narrative of black talk, I think. And I think, you know, it's nice when we get opportunities to be on programs, but I don't want to always see ghetto programs. Let's have some black people that, like, let's have the Akalas hosting a show. Let's have the intellects.
I love that guy, man.
Yeah. I mean, you know, why are we having certain other people? There's nothing wrong with it because we're so dimensional. So we do have a variation of characters, a variation of lifestyles. But I think it's important that rhetoric starts to come forth, that we are intelligent.
With the whole trust, how can that be built?
I think just opening I think also us changing and people setting up different podcasts like yourself. You've got this, you're interviewing people about, you know, their careers, their futures, etc. I think that's really good. And I think setting up other certain programs that and discussions and showing us having healthy discussion about different things. The only problem is it can be boring. You know, people want to see a bit of, you know, breast, a bit of bum, a bit of this, a bit of bad man attitude and stuff like that. So it's like, how do you draw the line? How do you you know, how do you appeal to the audience? And unfortunately, you know, this is one of the things I think we were a bit worried about when we were doing the Teachers Podcast. That's why we made it very short. We made it like 15 minutes each episode, because we knew we're going up against people that they don't want to hear teachers talking. They want to, you know how to do their makeup, know how to do their hair, and know how to, you know, other things. But if people want to talk to me about education, if somebody wants to, you know, then just DM me on Lady N299.
Cool. All right. Final words of encouragement for your people.
Know who you are. Don't compete with anyone. Be proud of who you are. You're never a mistake. God knew you are. You were in your mother's womb, so you are ordained, chosen, and go out there and get what belongs to you.
Yeah, it's nice to see a black woman shining. So I know more to come from you. It's just the beginning, and so keep elevating and keep shining. Just keep being inspiration, and like everyone's gonna see your light. So continue to be that star, man.